What does it mean to be truly balanced? Is balance a state we can permanently achieve, or is it a constant dance between opposing forces? In today's world, many of us find ourselves overwhelmed by the pressures of daily life, constantly moving from task to task, meeting endless expectations from others and ourselves. But how often do we stop to ask ourselves, am I in balance? The autumn equinox, which occurs on September 22, 2024, offers us a powerful moment of reflection. It's a day when light and darkness are perfectly balanced, a rare moment when nature itself gives us a reminder that balance is possible, even amidst the chaos. However, this balance in nature is fleeting, just as it is in life. The question isn't how to achieve balance once and for all, but rather how to find it in each moment. We live in a world of extremes, pursuing goals, striving for success, while often neglecting the quieter, more reflective parts of ourselves. But what if the key to fulfillment isn't found in endless striving, but in pausing, reflecting, and aligning with the natural rhythms of life? The equinox invites us to explore these questions and more. How do we balance the external demands of life with our internal needs for peace, rest, and connection? In this video, we'll explore the profound spiritual and philosophical significance of the autumn equinox. We'll discuss what balance really means, how embracing change is essential to growth, and why letting go is a key to unlocking your potential. Stay with me until the end, as we'll dive into practical ways to integrate balance into your everyday life and discover how this natural phenomenon can serve as a metaphor for your personal transformation. 1. The deeper spiritual meaning of balance. Balance is more than just a state of equilibrium. It's a dynamic process that constantly requires recalibration. When we think about balance, we often picture two sides of a scale in perfect harmony, but in reality, balance is rarely static. Much like the Earth constantly tilting on its axis, we too are in a state of continuous motion, always adjusting to the shifting demands of life. But what is balance, really? For many of us, balance means trying to juggle all the various aspects of life: work, relationships, personal growth, and self-care. However, true balance goes much deeper than this. It's not just about time management or getting everything done. It's about aligning our inner world with our outer actions. Take, for instance, the concept of inner balance. This involves achieving harmony between our thoughts, emotions, and actions. Too often we find ourselves acting out of alignment, doing things we don't truly want to do, saying things we don't really mean, or making choices that don't reflect our core values. The result? Stress, frustration, and a sense of disconnection from ourselves. Inner balance is about recognizing when we're out of sync and taking the steps to realign. Then there's external balance, which involves managing the various roles we play in life: our careers, family responsibilities, friendships, and hobbies. It's about finding a rhythm that allows us to give time and energy to what truly matters without burning out. But here's the catch. True balance isn't about distributing your energy equally across all areas of life. It's about recognizing what needs your attention in the present moment and adjusting accordingly. How do we cultivate this kind of balance? The answer lies in awareness. We need to be mindful of our energy levels, our emotions, and the choices we're making. Are you prioritizing the things that align with your values and bring you joy? Or are you constantly saying yes to others at the expense of your own well-being? The equinox serves as a reminder to pause, reflect, and realign with what truly matters. But balance isn't just an individual pursuit. It's a collective one. Just as light and darkness depend on each other to create the natural cycles of day and night, we are interconnected with the world around us. What would happen if we saw our personal balance as part of a larger, interconnected system? By seeking balance within ourselves, we contribute to the overall harmony of the world. 2. The equinox and the cycles of life. A deep reflection. The autumn equinox is not just a moment of balance between light and dark, it's a reminder of the cyclical nature of life. Throughout the year, the earth moves through distinct phases. Spring brings new growth, summer brings abundance, autumn brings harvest, and winter brings stillness and reflection. Each phase has its purpose, and none can be skipped. But how often do we honor these cycles in our own lives? Do we allow ourselves time to grow, to rest, to reflect, and to renew? Or do we push ourselves to be in a constant state of productivity, always striving for more, without taking time to pause and recharge? In many ways, modern society has lost touch with the natural rhythms of life. We live in a culture that glorifies busyness, where rest is often seen as laziness, and where constant achievement is rewarded. But nature teaches us a different lesson, that growth and rest are equally important. Just as the earth needs time to rest and regenerate in the winter, we too need moments of stillness to process, reflect, and prepare for the next phase of growth. What would it look like to live in harmony with the cycles of life? It would mean allowing ourselves to slow down when necessary, to honor the seasons of our own personal growth, and to trust that periods of stillness are not wasted. They are essential for regeneration. The equinox reminds us that there is a time for everything, a time to act, a time to rest, a time to grow, and a time to let go. The cycles of life also teach us about impermanence. Just as the equinox is a fleeting moment of balance, so too are the phases of life. Nothing stays the same forever. Our relationships, careers, and even our identities are constantly evolving. How can we embrace this impermanence rather than resist it? By accepting that change is inevitable, we free ourselves from the fear of the unknown and open ourselves up to new possibilities. 3. The nature of balance, navigating the in-between. Balance is not a static state. It's a process of constant recalibration. We often think of balance as an ideal, something to be achieved and then maintained. But in reality, balance is much more fluid. It's about learning to navigate the tensions between opposites, action and rest, ambition and contentment, certainty and uncertainty. How do we find balance in the midst of life's uncertainties? One of the most important aspects of balance is learning to embrace the in-between moments, the times when we are neither fully immersed in action nor fully at rest, but somewhere in between. These transitional phases are often where the most growth occurs, yet they can also be the most uncomfortable. Why? Because they require us to let go of certainty and embrace the unknown. Think about the times in your life when you've experienced the most growth. Were they during periods of stability, or were they during times of transition, when you were between what was and what was yet to come? The equinox teaches us that balance is not about avoiding these transitions, but about learning to find peace within them. Embracing the in-between also means accepting impermanence. The autumn equinox is fleeting. It happens for just one day before the balance shifts again. This impermanence is a reminder that life is constantly changing, and true balance is found not in resisting these changes, but in flowing with them. So how do we cultivate balance when everything around us is in flux? The answer lies in mindfulness, being fully present in each moment, regardless of whether that moment feels comfortable or challenging. When we practice mindfulness, we can observe the shifts in our energy and adjust accordingly rather than reacting impulsively or clinging to the past. What practices help you stay grounded during times of change? Whether it's meditation, journaling, or simply taking a few deep breaths, cultivating mindfulness allows us to stay centered even when life feels uncertain. 4. Letting go, the power of release in the journey of awakening. Letting go is one of the most profound and difficult lessons in life, but it's also the key to unlocking a deeper sense of freedom and personal transformation. Why is it so hard to let go? Many of us cling to old habits, outdated beliefs, or relationships that no longer serve us, not because they add value to our lives, but because they represent familiarity. The unknown is scary. Even when we know that holding on to certain things is detrimental, the comfort of the familiar keeps us stuck. But the autumn equinox offers a powerful metaphor. Just as trees shed their leaves in preparation for winter, we too must learn to release what is no longer necessary in our lives. What are the leaves in your life that need to fall away? The process of letting go can be painful, but it is essential for personal growth. Without shedding the old, there is no space for the new to enter. The tree knows that by releasing its leaves, it is conserving energy for the long winter ahead, readying itself for a burst of new life in the spring. Similarly, letting go allows us to conserve emotional and spiritual energy for the transformations that await us. But letting go is not just about releasing external things. It's also about letting go of internal blockages. Often we carry old beliefs about ourselves that limit our potential. We tell ourselves stories like, "I'm not good enough," "I'm too old to change," or "I've already missed my opportunity." These limiting beliefs keep us from stepping into our full power. What stories are you telling yourself that you need to let go of? The equinox, with its balance of light and dark, symbolizes the dual nature of letting go. It's both an act of release and an act of trust. We must trust that by letting go, we are creating space for something better to come into our lives. This trust is not always easy. It requires faith in the process of life, a belief that even though we can't see what lies ahead, something greater is on the way. What would happen if you trusted the process of life more fully? How would that change your approach to letting go? Letting go is not an act of defeat. It's an act of liberation. When we let go, we free ourselves from the weight of the past and open ourselves up to the possibilities of the future. Imagine how much lighter you would feel if you released the mental and emotional baggage you've been carrying. How much more energy would you have to invest in the things that truly matter? This is why the equinox is such a powerful time for reflection. As nature transitions from the fullness of summer into the quiet of autumn, we are reminded that there are seasons in our own lives as well. Times for growth and times for letting go. The trees don't cling to their leaves, and neither should we cling to the things that are no longer serving our highest good. What can you release today to create space for new opportunities, new growth, and new insights? 5. Embracing change, the spiritual power of transformation. Change is one of life's few certainties, yet it is also one of the most difficult things for us to embrace. Why do we resist change so fiercely, even though it is essential for our growth? The answer often lies in fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, or fear of leaving behind the comfort of what we know. But the autumn equinox, with its message of balance and transition, teaches us that change is not something to fear. It is something to embrace. In nature, change is constant. The seasons shift, plants grow and wither, animals migrate, and the landscape transforms. Change is necessary for survival. Yet as humans, we often resist change because it threatens our sense of control. We want to hold on to what we know, even if what we know is limiting or unhealthy. What would happen if you stopped resisting change and started welcoming it? The equinox reminds us that change is part of a larger cycle of growth and renewal. Just as the earth must go through the phases of the seasons, we too must go through cycles of transformation in our lives. There are times when we are in full bloom, experiencing the abundance and energy of summer, and there are times when we must retreat, like autumn, to conserve our energy and prepare for the next phase of growth. What phase of life are you in right now, and how can you honor that phase rather than resist it? Embracing change requires us to let go of control and trust in the process of life. It's about surrendering to the flow of what is, rather than clinging to what was, or trying to control what will be. This doesn't mean that we give up or become passive. On the contrary, it means that we become active participants in our own transformation. We learn to flow with the changes rather than fight against them. One of the most powerful aspects of change is that it allows us to become more aligned with our true selves. Each time we embrace a new phase of life, we let go of a version of ourselves that no longer fits and step into a new, more authentic way of being. How would your life change if you fully embraced the transformations that are calling you? Transformation is not just an external process, it is an internal one as well. As we move through life, we are constantly evolving on a spiritual, emotional, and psychological level. The equinox serves as a reminder that this inner transformation is just as important as the changes we experience externally. What inner transformations are you going through right now? And how can you support yourself in that process? To embrace change fully, we must also embrace uncertainty. This is perhaps the most difficult part of transformation. How do we move forward when the path ahead is unclear? The answer lies in faith. Faith in ourselves, faith in the process, and faith that life is unfolding exactly as it should. Just as the earth knows when to shift into a new season, we too have an inner wisdom that knows when it's time to let go and move forward. How can you trust yourself more fully in this process? The equinox teaches us that change is not something to fear. It is something to celebrate. Each transition, no matter how difficult, is an opportunity for growth. By embracing change, we open ourselves up to new possibilities and new ways of being. We allow ourselves to be transformed into the person we were always meant to be. 6. The invitation to awaken. The autumn equinox offers us a unique opportunity to reflect on the balance in our lives, the changes we are experiencing, and the things we need to let go of in order to grow. It's a moment to pause and take stock of where we are on our journey, both personally and spiritually. But more than that, it's an invitation to awaken to the deeper truths of life, to the cycles of nature, and to the wisdom that lies within each of us. As we move through the equinox and into the quieter, more introspective season of autumn, we are reminded that balance is not a one-time achievement. It's a lifelong process. It's about constantly recalibrating, adjusting, and realigning with our values, our goals, and our sense of purpose. Where in your life are you out of balance? And what steps can you take to restore that balance? The equinox also invites us to embrace change, not as something to fear, but as something to celebrate. Each time we go through a period of transformation, we become more aligned with our true selves. What changes are you resisting, and how can you embrace them with grace and courage? Finally, the equinox teaches us the importance of letting go. In order to make space for new growth, we must release what no longer serves us. This is not always easy, but it is essential for our personal and spiritual evolution. What are you holding on to, and how is it holding you back? As we reflect on these questions, we are reminded that life is a constant process of becoming. We are always in motion, always evolving, always growing. The equinox, with its perfect balance of light and dark, teaches us that this process is natural and necessary. It is through balance, change, and letting go that we awaken to our fullest potential. So as you move forward from this moment of reflection, I invite you to carry the lessons of the equinox with you. How can you create more balance in your life? What changes are calling you, and how can you embrace them? What can you let go of in order to create space for new growth? The journey toward balance and awakening is a lifelong process, but it is one that we do not walk alone. Nature, the cycles of life, and the wisdom within us are always guiding us along the way. By tuning into these rhythms, we can move through life with greater ease, trust, and clarity. If you found this message meaningful and inspiring, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content on personal growth, spiritual awakening, and navigating life's transitions. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What does the autumn equinox mean to you, and how are you finding balance in your own life? Remember, the journey toward balance, transformation, and awakening is one that we are all on together. Let's continue to explore the deeper meaning of life, learn from the wisdom of nature, and embrace the changes that help us grow.